Picture yourself in the middle of Madrid on a Tuesday. It's 2 p.m. The streets are full, not rushing, full. Restaurants spilling onto sidewalks, tables packed with coworkers, families, and friends, actual plates of food, bread, a bottle of water. Nobody is looking at a phone. The meal is the thing. Now picture an office in Chicago, same time, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. A man at his desk, headphones in, a plastic container of leftovers balanced next to his keyboard. He's answering emails while he eats. He will be done in 11 minutes. He does this every single day, and he has never once thought about it. Mexico City, lunch is 2 hours and it is protected. Rome, same. Even in Tokyo, where work culture is intense by any measure, communal eating is woven into the daily rhythm at every level. In most of the world, the midday meal is a social event. In America, it is a task you complete between meetings. And here's the part that makes this interesting. This wasn't inevitable. Someone decided your lunch break should be short. Someone decided eating at your desk was acceptable. Someone decided finishing quickly was a sign of seriousness. Those decisions were made over a century ago, and they are still running your Tuesday. For most of human history, the midday meal was the largest meal of the day, not dinner, lunch. In agrarian societies, the hardest physical work happened in the morning. You needed real fuel at midday. You stopped, you ate together. Families, workers in the same trade, neighbors. The meal was long, social, and restorative. This was the default across Europe, Latin America, and most of the world. In Spain, the long midday meal dates back centuries. In Mexico, la comida, the main afternoon meal, is still the centerpiece of the day for millions of people. These aren't inefficiencies that modernization forgot to fix. They're systems built around a simple truth. Humans function better when they slow down, eat slowly, and eat with other people. Then the factory arrived, and it changed what time was worth. In an industrial operation, every minute a machine runs, it produces. Every minute it stops, it costs. Workers inherited that logic almost immediately. The factory lunch break wasn't designed for the worker. It was designed around the machine. 30 minutes, eat something, return to the line. Lunch stopped being a meal. It became a refueling window. But the man who truly industrialized the American lunch wasn't a factory owner. He was a consultant with a stopwatch. Frederick Winslow Taylor believed workers moved too slowly because they were still behaving like human beings. So he timed everything: shoveling, walking, lifting, resting. Then he asked the question that quietly reshaped American life. Not how much rest does a worker need to stay well, but what is the minimum amount of time a person needs before productivity drops? Not happiness, not connection, productivity. That distinction is small. What it produced was not. His framework was called scientific management, and by the 1920s, it had moved out of factories and into offices. White-collar work was now being measured the same way assembly line work had been, and lunch was a problem, an unoptimized hour in the middle of a productive day. The solution wasn't dramatic, it was quieter than that. Eating at your desk became quietly admirable, and once a behavior gets associated with ambition, it spreads fast. By the 1950s, the desk lunch wasn't just normal, it was aspirational. The person who skipped a real break looked disciplined, efficient, serious. America had quietly turned eating quickly into a moral virtue. The meal disappeared long before people noticed the loneliness. Here's where it gets uncomfortably recognizable. Think about the last time someone scheduled a lunch and learn at your office, a working lunch, a lunch meeting where the food arrives in a box and nobody stops talking about the agenda. Think about the Uber Eats bag sitting in your office lobby at 12:30, the microwave line in the break room where nobody makes eye contact, the Slack notification you answered between bites, the parking lot where people sit alone in their cars because it's the only quiet space in the building. None of that feels strange anymore. That's exactly the point. Meanwhile, the rest of the world kept the meal. In France, the cultural expectation is a real hour away from the desk, usually with other people. In Brazil, lunch is still the social center of the workday for millions of people. In Spain, entire city blocks still slow down at midday. And here's the detail that complicates the easy story. Germany is one of the most productive economies on earth.
Japan works famously long hours. Neither abandoned the communal meal the way America did. Productivity and a real lunch break are actually not in conflict. America just decided they were, and then forgot it had made that decision. The lunch break shrank before anyone thought to ask why. Here's what that quietly costs. The U.S. Surgeon General has called loneliness a public health epidemic. Rates of social isolation have been climbing for decades. Eating alone is both a symptom and a cause. Studies consistently show that people who share meals report stronger relationships, higher well-being, and better mental health outcomes. The communal meal is one of the oldest social technologies humans ever developed, not a tradition, a technology. And America largely dismantled it before noon. Humans adapted to the system faster than the system ever adapted to humans. None of this means a 2-hour lunch would transplant cleanly into American life. In Madrid, dinner happens at 10 p.m. The entire daily rhythm is different. You can't extract one piece of a system and expect the same result. But what is worth sitting with is how thoroughly invisible this became. Most Americans have never once asked why their lunch is 30 minutes, why eating at their desk feels normal, why finishing quickly feels like discipline rather than loss. It just is what it is. Except it wasn't always. Someone designed it. A stopwatch in a factory in 1898, a consultant who believed human behavior could be optimized like a machine, a culture that decided productivity was the highest value, and then stopped noticing it had made that choice. The next time you're 11 minutes into a plastic container at your desk, answering emails while you chew, that's not just lunch, that's 100 years of decisions playing out in your afternoon. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you eat lunch alone every day? Have you ever worked somewhere that actually protected the lunch hour? Or are you watching from Spain or Mexico, where this whole thing sounds completely foreign? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. If this kind of story interests you, hit subscribe. There's a whole series here unpacking the hidden logic behind how American life got designed and why so much of it looks strange from the outside. See you in the next one.